All right, turn to section 5. Silently turn to section 5 of your notes for the closed reading, and we're still on page 7. And I want you to press to silently complete boxes 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B. Okay, so that's just some review from our last Educanon. And after you've completed those boxes, I'm going to join you at 2C. And we're at the bottom of page 7. So press pause and complete box 1 and box 2A and 2B. Press play when you are ready for 2C. We have to read the bottom of page 7 to get the answer for 2C. So I'm at the bottom of page 7, ready to do 2C. You should have already completed box 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B. If you have not, press pause and complete them before moving on. Bottom of page 7. But Ra didn't wait for anything. It wasn't in his nature. He looked at the bow Nut's body formed, and all those words that filled his heart now spilled out of his mouth in a new form, stories. Ra became brilliant like Nut, brilliant with stories. He had to tell stories. Those stories could make anything happen, anytime, anywhere. Okay, and we're going to keep reading to think, how did Ra respond to Shu's decision? Well, the first thing he did was he was inspired to tell stories. Ra was inspired to tell stories, and we know that when Ra tells stories, he is actually creating things that are in the stories. So for 2C, silently write, Ra was inspired to tell more stories and create more things. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep going. We're going to keep reading because Ra is going to go on a journey, and I want you to think about how does the author describe the journey. Ra snuck behind the mountain Menu, which appeared even as he said the name, and climbed into his boat Manette, again gaining solidity as it was named, yet somehow being as old as forever, millions upon millions of years old, and sailed across the sky as a glowing ball of fire that appeared to roll over Nut's thighs and buttocks and spine and neck. He landed in the far west horizon, since the directions now existed as he spoke, and then journeyed back to Manu. So what they're saying, watch my mouse. What he's saying is that Ra, and when they're saying he's brilliant, that he's like a glowing ball of fire. So I want you to think, what's in the sky that looks like a glowing ball of fire? That's the sun. So Ra became the sun, and he sailed in his boat across, this is Nut, and this is Jeb. Okay, remember, Nut is the sky, Jeb is the earth, and Shu is keeping them separate. And it's like Ra sailed in his boat across the sky as a glowing ball of fire. And then again, he returned back behind the mountain and then just kept doing it over and over and over again. Wow, what does that remind you of when the sun goes across the sky and then it disappears for a while and then, oh, it goes back across the sky? You're right. That's called day and night. Let's keep reading to figure out how the Egyptians explain day and night. And it says that as he journeyed back to Manu, it says that he traveled in the underworld, which is the Duat, in his second boat, Mesektet. And so they're explaining what happened to Ra at night. We don't see the sun in the sky at night. And so they're saying, well, he's traveling through the underworld at night. Okay, let's keep reading to figure out what the author compares this journey to. There is something exhilarating and renewing at the start of the journey across the sky, and something tiring and withering at the end. A tantalizing mix. Ra had to repeat it, and it was far too involving to experience only once. Pay attention to this part, because they're saying Ra made this journey over and over and over again. And now the author compares the journey to something. He says he allowed himself to be born again, coming out through Nut as though she were his mother rather than his granddaughter. Reversing the order of things, confusing time, and letting it circle back on itself. Pay attention. He rose as a baby. By midday, when the boat Manette arrived at the first knob of Nut's spine, he was a man in the prime of life, a hero ready to tackle any problem and win. He sat in the evening as an old man, tottering on a short stick, a flame fanning to a flicker of heat, and finally a memory of warmth. What a journey. So the author is comparing Ra's journey to the life of a human. You start out as a baby. As you get older, you become a man or a woman. And then as you get even older, you become an old man or an old woman. And so the author is saying as Ra goes on his journey throughout the day, it's like the journey of a human's life. So the author compares Ra's journey across the sky to the journey of a human's life. Press pause to write down your answer in 3A and play when you're ready for 3B. It says, how does this metaphor impact the reader's understanding of life and order? Well, this metaphor helped the Egyptians understand how each day had an order. It started out at the beginning, just like we start out our life as babies. The sun was not as bright. And then throughout the day, the sun gets brighter and brighter and brighter, just as when a child grows up and becomes a man or a woman, they are able to do so much more than they were as a baby. And then as the sun goes down in the evening, that is like a person becoming older because you can't do as much when you're older. So this metaphor helped the Egyptians understand how the sun progresses through the sky and starts out, not as bright, gets brighter, and then ends up not as bright. And that is just like the life of a human. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for number 4. It asks us, what does the author seek to explain in this section of the text? Well, the author wants to explain 3 things. The first thing is the creation of the earth and sky. And so from this text, we learned that Jeb he's a god and he symbolizes the earth, and Nut is a god and goddess and she symbolizes the sky. Press pause to write down your answer for A and play when you're ready for B. The author also tries to explain the creation of the sun, and in this text we learn that Ra is the sun that journeys across the sky. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for part C. And then the author also seeks to tell us about the creation of day and night. And we know, write this down, Ra's journey across the sky was the creation of day and night. All right, and then you need to write your paragraph. How does Egyptian mythology explain how the earth and sky were created? Use your notes from boxes 1, 2, 3, and 4 to help you answer this question.